Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. And this is We Own the City, y'all. All right. We have made it through, okay, this limited mini series. I wish it was actually longer, more to this series, you guys. I was wondering how they was gonna bring it all together and close it up. What parts they was gonna show us, what parts was gonna be left. Just to mention before I get into the review recap, okay, this of course is part 6, season 1, episode 6 of We Own the City. And I don't know if you guys are on Twitter, but Justin Fenton, who wrote the book We Own the City, of course, is the same name, is saying that there's more info in the book, and he's been putting out a lot of actual footage from the dash cams and the cameras that they were wearing, different things of that. He's also just been tweeting out some knowledge and also saying if you want more information about Sean Suter, it goes into a little bit more details in the book. And also Sonia Son, who also of course was on The Wire, did do a documentary called, I believe it was The Slow Hustle. And they do have the documentary on HBO for anybody that is interested, okay? So having said that, let's go ahead and get into this episode, y'all. And I feel like I say this every freaking episode, but it's so true. Every time you think you know everything, okay, and that this is as crazy as it could possibly get, honey child, they be like, nope, we got some more for you, all right? And they was definitely dishing it out, and it's so freaking disgusting. And the sad part is we been knew that things was going on like this. It's just kind of that confirmation to let you know that you ain't crazy, okay? And we know that this is not the only place that stuff like this happens. It just so happens that they literally got caught out there. And they got caught out there mostly because of mistake, y'all, if we keeping it real, right? They kind of stumbled onto this through one mistake, and then them just being, silly as I don't know what, with knowing that they were being looked at and just not caring because so many other things that they were doing, they was getting away with. So it was like, well, why would we go down now, right? At least that's how I take it. And so we actually started out this episode with Wayne Jenkins being Wayne Jenkins, okay? He was going to ride this till the wheels fall off. He remind me of Shaggy, what it wasn't me. But, honey, we ain't talking about just catching you in the shower. The stuff we talking about is way deeper than this. And, we start out the episode with him sitting with his lawyer. And he got the nerve to be shushing the damn lawyer when the lawyer trying to let him know, like, Wayne, okay, it's time for you to start making some deals here. Honey child, Wayne don't want to hear it, The FBI come walking in and they say, listen, at this point, we looking to see what the value and extent of your cooperation is going to be should we decide to accept your plea, okay? We are trying to see if maybe between whatever information you give us, we could go ahead and, tell the judge something to sentence you to. Do you understand what's going on? Wayne's in here going like this the whole time. They talking, and when they ask him, do he understand? He says, yeah, I do. So they say, okay, we gonna go ahead and proceed. He was like, he talking about, well, first off, I'm innocent. And it's like, boy, you literally caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Okay, you on fire right now. Okay, you need some water to put your ass out. But Wayne ain't seeing it, honey. He's still talking about, I don't know what y'all talking about. And so, he's telling him, the FBI at this point is like, listen, let's be very clear. We know everything we need to know. We're trying to give you the chance. Usually the one that talks first is the one that gets the deal, okay? And you are not first in this situation. You are literally at the damn bottom, honey, rock bottom, all right? You are last. And so you need to go ahead and cooperate so that you don't get the worst end of the stick. And, Wayne is still talking about, well, I hear what you saying. That's all fine and dandy, but they lying, okay? Whoever you've been talking to is bullcrapping you, okay? I'm not going to sit in front of you and say I haven't done some bad things. Of course I have. But I also could tell you I'm not the worst of the worst, and I have not done all the things you're thinking that I've done. And it did not start with me. He was like, come on now, think about it. Of course there's misconduct in the department or whatever have you, but I'm not the one you want, all right? This ain't just start, as soon as I got here, all of a sudden I'm the one that's making everything corrupt or whatever have you, okay? And so they're telling him they have multiple witnesses. And he was like, well, your multiple witnesses lied, okay, honey? And he was basically letting them know they ain't got nothing on me, all right? And so he was like, in the history of all this city, you think all of a sudden I'm a mastermind? And so to a certain degree, he got a point. But to another degree, Wayne, you caught, boo. You caught, okay? You trash. And you going in the garbage now. So anyway, he's saying, first they bring up, of course, what was it, Boogly, the arrest with that, and the fact that, no, I'm sorry, that was the whole car crash, right, where the old man died. That was what really kind of got him caught up. And so, of course, remember when he told Sean to go over and all of a sudden it was under the seat. They are bringing that back up and talking about how the drugs was planted underneath, in the car. And he's like, well, I could tell you right now, I definitely wasn't responsible for that, okay? It was another officer that was responsible. So they like, all right, okay, come on, tell us, who was it? And I'm waiting like, who was it, Wayne? Who you gonna try to say? I was waiting for him to say Sean damn name. But he didn't, okay? He gonna talk about some, oh, I can't say who it was. So, of course, now they find this interesting because they like, well, he didn't really deny any of the other stuff, but he made it a specific point to deny that, why would he deny that one? And they was like, well, who else was there? And so they were saying, well, we know it wasn't the one cop, the Asian officer, because he came and was trying to report stuff from way back when and nobody wasn't paying him no mind. And so they like, well, who's the other officer that was there? And of course, this is how they come up with Sean. Now they want to speak to him. They're saying, you are not the target here, but we definitely need to know anything that you know. So this is how Sean gets brought into play. They potentially want him to be a witness and to go before the grand jury. And so, of course, we already were seeing Sean looking like he was about to lose his damn mind and nerves all bad from before, honey. Now he's really concerned. He's like, is this something where I could lose my job? I don't understand what y'all want me to talk to y'all about. What exactly do you want to know? That's a long time. Right now, I work solving murders. But when they bring up the motorist that was killed and all of that, Sean knows immediately what they're talking about. And he does say that he remembers that. And of course, we're seeing him getting the flashes back to the incident again, like he already was. And so they was like, you were the one that submitted the paperwork as far as finding it. And so if you have seen, Wayne or any of them doing anything, we need to go ahead and hear from you now. It's like, speak now or forever hold your peace. And, Sean just looks really, really disturbed with all of this, y'all. Okay. I hate it. And so, they were saying that they need him to be a witness. And like I said, Sean mostly was concerned, like, with his job in for this, right? And so then we go to 6 months earlier, it's October 2016, and we're seeing, basically the commissioner doing a dictation saying, how he wants these enforcements to be made. He wants the necessary improvements. He wants this has been a long neglected problem. He's going to interject these changes into the department or whatever have you. And, make the necessary improvements to the organizations. Right now, they all trying to cover their behinds and, let them know that they are going to be crime fighters and community ambassadors to the community. And so, of course, the other officers like, give me a break, community, ambassadors or whatever. And he was like, we're not going to, dismiss this contrary notion of police work. And he's like, good. Have one on the front page. And then on the second page, we want you to run about Jenkins and the gun task force and that, have all of this inside the newsletter so that they can know that they're on top of it and they're doing what they got to do. And they putting everything on the table now and they're doing the job now. And so he's trying his best to get ahead of things with what the situation is, I guess, right? And so then we go from that to seeing Jenkins and them chasing this guy. Actually, this is also, I think, what Justin Fenton shared on Twitter, the real life stop that's, taped. And, he's telling them how he's such this good cop, right? How they do things by the book and they found this gun. He's telling him, oh, is your life in danger, sir? Is your life in danger now? Tell us if your life is in danger because we're here to help you. We don't want nobody to kill you. And so the guy says, listen, this is Baltimore. My life is always in danger. And Jenkins is like, hey, okay, I can rock with that. I hear where you coming from with that, right? I like you. I like how you get down. That's a good answer. And so he asked Jenkins to make a call. And when Jenkins basically makes the call for him and puts it on speaker and tells him to go ahead, got his phone out for him and everything. He's telling the person like, oh, they caught me up and they basically trying to put this gun on me. And Jenkins was like, now, why would you go and do that? He was like, see, you had to play yourself. Here we've been here doing a good job. Me and my detectives, do good work. And he was like, I'm tired of this bullshit and all of this stuff. And so the next thing you know, we're back to Wayne and his lawyer talking. And he's telling Wayne, you are caught, okay? There's nowhere for you to go. Everyone is talking. And Wayne talking about, oh, my people not talking. What are you talking about? He was like, everyone, okay? He needed to be like my man from, what's that, The Professional? When he goes, everyone! All right? So he can get it in his damn head. Wayne, you ain't got no friends, bitch. Okay? They talking. And so he's like, well, you know what? Screw everybody. I'll take the stand. They ain't going to take their word over mine. I'll tell them my story and I'll sell it how I want to do it. And, Wayne swear he's Superman, right? He still think he's Superman. He was like, I'm just going to tell them my story and how about that? And the lawyer's literally putting his head down in his hands like, boy, no, okay, that's not going to help you right about now. The ship has sailed for that. And so Wayne is still saying he's not a dirty cop. And at this point, I think he believes his own damn lies. All right. And so we have, it flashing between the FBI talking to Gondo, talking to Ward, talking to Jamal. And they're all saying, Wayne basically was, the one that was in charge of everything. Of course, we know that, that they was trying to get away from him. He was crazy. Okay. And he's basically was out of control, and they said, they would go for the money, all right? They was been taking money, that's nothing new, but they never messed with drugs, but Wayne did. And so they all kind of start hitting towards this bail bondsman. They didn't really remember the name, and then I think one of the guys remembered that the first name was Donald, okay? So now they got the bail bondsman friend, all right? Because they like, honey, he was doing all different type of drugs, and this guy was able to get GPS trackers and all different kind of stuff. Sometimes he would show up. And so, of course, they put two and two together and they able to track down old bail bondsman. They show up at his house and he don't even look surprised to see them, okay? Next, we see Jenkins in court. I think this was November 2016. We see him testifying to a traffic stop. The lawyers basically going back and forth with him on whether they had probable cause, whether they were supposed to be, stopping him. And then Wayne mentions that they were all surrounding the car because they never know what could go wrong. They just wanted to ask him questions, but, just wanted to talk to him. But sometimes things can go wrong. So for precautions now, he had them all positioned on all sides of the vehicle. And so when he says this, the lawyer asks for a minute and they go up. And essentially, this basically messed Wayne up because he didn't have the right to do that. So therefore, he lost the case. And him and the lawyer are talking about it after he comes out from the case. And he's like, so you don't have a problem with this guy being a drug dealer? And he was like, well, listen, at the end of the day, honey, if you want to get them, you got to do it the right way. The fact is you're doing it wrong. Okay, that's not my job to worry about all that. My job is to get my client off. And there has been many stories, not just from this guy with this case, but it's been going around for a minute that you stole everything from money to drugs. So everybody knew who the hell Wayne was and what he was doing. Okay, it was getting talked about on a regular at this point. We have Nicole meeting back up with the professor, and you could see that Nicole is starting to get frustrated now. He's talking to her about what did the mayor say, and telling her different ways that she might be able to change around this, statement that she wrote. And she was like, so what you're saying is that I'm basically not getting nothing done and I'm working against the system. And he like, calm down, I'm on your side, okay? And she was like, yeah, I get it, I know you are, But like I said, frustrations is getting high now because she's starting to question and really feel like, is her writing this up even going to make any difference? Okay, is her even trying to do this consent decree, going to change anything? And so he was like, I see you showing everything that the cops are doing wrong, procedurally and unconstitutional, and practices and patterns and things of that nature that violate, civilians' rights and brutalize citizens at worst. But you also got to represent on the good parts that they do. And she's like, credit where credit is due, good parts that they do. And she looking at him like he got three heads. And he was like, wait, so the Justice Department is not willing to admit that part? He was like, what are the police trying to do? And she was like, arrest everybody. Okay, we spoke about this. And he was like, yeah, I hear you, but what is the mission? What is the main mission that they trying to succeed with? And so she was like, the drug war. And he was like, exactly. So you got to kind of shift the, subject to that, right? Talking about how there's no victories in this whole drug war and all of that kind of stuff. And so he was like, is this in the Justice Department or even in the Civil Rights Division? Are y'all ready to declare, the problem as far as that's concerned? Because if not, nothing is going to be achieved. It's still going to be the same thing, and it's going to be a complete, collapse of trust. And so, as usual, he was giving her some real facts, and he was telling her he fought this war and he lost, and so you don't want to continue to be here and be fighting the same way and then lose the same way that you've already been losing, essentially, right? And so he was like, are people really ready to say this out loud? Because if they not, then this is a whole waste of time. And so I think that really gave, Nicole a different outlook on it as well, right? And so of course they're back in this meeting again, and they pretty much still saying the same thing. They're like, listen, we already said that we can't do this, we can't do that. They like, look, how, the commissioner's telling them, I read this decree, we all did, it got to be something that we could do with upgrading the video technology, we could agree on some stuff. It got to be something we could come up with the fiscal budget, from schools to rec centers and all this other kind of stuff. And so, the mayor talking about, these is my babies, I can't take from my babies. And, the commissioner's telling them, look, we cut the overtime, like we doing everything we could do. And at this point, there has been over 340 murders. Crime is going up. All right. So what you want us to do right now? The reality is that this is not getting better, it's getting worse. All right. And so what problems are y'all really trying to fix? They're talking about all this debt that they have to pay in settlements, and how are they going to afford, cameras and all this other stuff. And so he was like, look, I don't know what to tell y'all, but this is the facts. This is what we dealing with. You got officers resigning ever since the Freddie Gray. You got others that are unwilling to go out, in their cars. He was like, this is going to be an honest Fourth Amendment mistake. I'm telling y'all now. Okay, you think it's bad now, you ain't seen nothing yet. So y'all need to go ahead and figure this out. And so, really they having the same damn argument, and they saying there's no money from, the mayor saying no money from my babies. And so I'm like, okay, miss, we gonna get what we get with you, I guess, right? And so, the more that Nicole is going around and just talking and watching things, we seeing her just disintegrating, right? Just starting to feel like, I really did all this for nothing, right? We also see Wayne go back. I don't know what the point of this was, and tell the lawyer how he's not going to be a cop no more. He give up. He's not going to be making arrests no more. He's out of there. He's going to be transferring. He's done. He can't do it no more. It don't make no sense. I don't know really what was the point of coming to tell him that. I guess because the lawyer was the one that let him know that, people was talking. We had Sean meeting with his lawyer. He's asking, still like, what do they want to talk to me about? What would be the questions? And the lawyer's telling him, let's not be naive, okay? They want to know whether you saw Wayne stole the money. And it's like, yeah, Sean, at this point, you got to know what the hell they want to talk about. And he's telling him that he won't be able to hold nothing back. If he saw anything, he have to say something, okay? Point blank, period. He have to get on that stand and tell it. And we see that Sean is really seeming to have a hard time with this, at least according to, how they're breaking it down in here. We see also the FBI come into Mr. Donald, okay, the Bell's bondsman, and he's like, oh, hey, about time y'all get to me, and laughing and everything. And they talking about, oh, well, you don't see surprise. And he was like, why should I be? And they was like, well, how do you know Wayne Jenkins? He was like, well, for one, he's a friend of mine. We hang out, okay, but that's not what y'all really want to see me about and talk to me about. And so they like, oh, well, what do we want to talk to you about? Oh, y'all want to talk about the drugs, honey, okay, that he gave me and I sold. And they was like, well, how much drugs did he give you? He said he gave me a lot, man, as much as I could sell, like $1 million worth, pure profit, all right? And he was like, I'm here to tell you whatever I want to know. Just ask me anything, I'll cooperate. And so he's looking at the pictures of the stuff that they got, and he's like, although you missed the cocaine. And so they like, we did. He's like, yeah, the cocaine. They was like, where was it? He said, oh, that's under the baseboard in the radiator in the laundry room, okay, 3 kilos. My boy was spilling that tea like nobody business. And they like, well, thank you. He like, no problem, okay, glad to help you. That tickled me. He wasted no time, okay? And so then you have Nicole here, talking with her coworker, and she's saying that they address what they can when they can, right? She was like, this is not for the Civil Rights Division to handle everything. This is a big problem in the Justice Department, something that they've been fighting for a long time. It goes all the way up. So you got to kind of be happy with whatever you get. Nicole is saying, but this is just basically, kind of like, teasing at the symptom, is not taking care of the whole problem. And then she's telling Nicole, there's nothing we could do about that. So she was like, instead of fixing the laws, we're quietly working around them. Because Nicole's losing her patience more and more. And so she was like, and now that Trump is in the, and Jeff Sessions and all this, they're going to be wanting to arrest people for marijuana possession. She was like, I can't do this for another 4 years or 8 years. So the lady over here telling her she's protected. Nicole said, no, honey, that's not what I mean. I mean, me, myself, I can't bear to sit on my ass for another 4 years or maybe 8 and do nothing while all this shit gets shut down by these assholes. And that's exactly what's going to happen, right? She was like, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me the Civil Rights Division is not basically about to be closed all the way down, dead in the water under this new administration. And the lady couldn't tell her that, okay? Nicole was speaking facts on facts on facts. We have Sean basically still seeing him going through the motions, looking at his kids, looking at his wife, looking at his pictures and things of that nature. We have the federal government jumping out, well, the officers, I should say, jumping out on, Shropshire. They finally get his behind and tell him how they've been watching him for over a year. They ask him if he want to call his lady. He say, yeah, he about to give them the number. They like, oh no, we got it, boo. It's on speed dial. So he was like, wow, y'all really was all in it like that, huh? And so as they putting him in the car, he basically ends up saying, y'all know I got popped last week. And they say, yeah. And he was like, Gladstone Squad or whatever the case may be. And he said, yeah, well, y'all could go ahead and take some money if y'all want to. Shoot. Why not make any information you need I could give? Y'all could get something nice for your wives and shit. He was like, Gladstone took it, so why shouldn't you, And they all looking shocked. I mean, every time you turn around, somebody else's damn name is thrown in the mix. So then when they start to trace back Gladstone, Mr. Sergeant Keith Gladstone, they find out how, he took and resold and seized narcotics. He worked excessively with Dagon Jenkins. He was kind of his mentor. If they look far back enough, they're actually coming across where these BB guns was being put in different shootings or whatever, right? To say that when it was a bad shooting, they had the BB gun and it was made to look, as if they thought they had a gun on them, and that's why they was doing the shooting. And so, of course, we remember when Wayne called up somebody and he came and put the gun, next to the tire of the white truck. That was Gladstone, and that was basically a BB gun. So now they got to look to see how many other cases that this was being done in. And Gladstone just so happened to have decided to do an early retirement. Isn't that cute? And so, we have Wayne actually go to his chief and tell her that he wants to be moved somewhere else. And she essentially is telling him, oh no, the bosses won't be happy with this, okay? They need you here. They're not going to have you going anywhere. Even when you went on vacation, they was missing you. They still wanted you here. We had a hard time keeping things together when you was gone. I'm like, are y'all kidding me? She getting a damn newsletter down to read to him, to prove to him why he should still be staying in there and what a great cop he is and how much they need him. You can't make it up, okay? And so, we then see Sean and this guy, right? He's constantly getting texts and calls from the lawyer, to say how he got to meet him and talk to him about things before they go to the grand jury. We see Sean pouring this cup of coffee and he's like super nervous spilling some of the coffee. The guy's saying they're going to go check out this address that was given to them, for this murder or whatever. And we're seeing Nicole literally sitting inside of the district court, just watching different cases that's going by. And Nicole is really beat up now, really beat up. In the beginning, she was more so a person that was saying she don't let this get to her. She don't take it personal. She's just here to do her job. Now it has got to her. Now she's taking it personal. She's like, we're going to have a bunch of, Freddie Grays, Eric Garners, Michael Browns. And the guy even says to her exactly what I was thinking. I thought you said you don't let this get to you. And I think it finally has, okay? It has got to Nicole. And so we have this situation with Sean where he's driving with his partner. He's telling him he saw somebody standing in the alley. They go look. He don't see nothing. Then he all of a sudden takes him to this ride to show him where he first started out at. As a new officer, we're still seeing him getting texts. I think the last thing the lawyer told him was, you're going to have to meet me at 11 a.m. and then the grand jury is going to be at 1. We see him go back to this alley saying they're going to look one more time. At this point, his partner is saying, it's after 4. Why don't we, it's 4:30. Why don't we go? We already off the clock. He's like, all right, you go around that way, whatever. We going to look one more time. He was like, you sure you saw something? And Sean is telling him, yeah, he saw a movement in the alley when they first pulled up. Next thing we know, we hearing some daggone shooting. And Sean is down on the damn ground and the guy's calling for backup, okay? Before that, Sean was actually kept peeking around the corner, or so at least that's the way they show it in here. Peeking around the corner to see where his partner is at, then tells him, wait, says, stop, police, runs off. We hear 3 shots and then Sean is on the ground. We get Grandstein, Stone, whatever, basically saying that he would do anything he could to help with his partners because he essentially felt like they would do the same for him. Like it was a brotherhood. It was a brotherhood when he was in the military, and it's a brotherhood, with cops. And so, yes, he did go ahead and give, Wayne whatever he needed and helped him in that way. When he calls for help with, for Sean, his partner, and they get there. They basically didn't want to wait for the ambulance. They took him, in a cop car. He had a head wound. They were saying that the gun was underneath his right shoulder and the radio was still in his left hand. And then one of the cops say, how the hell are you struggling with somebody over a gun and then you still hold on to the walkie-talkie? So, basically trying to insinuate that he took his own life. Of course, the FBI get notified of this incident and they say it's not looking good. It's a head wound. And they said, well, damn, he was supposed to be reporting for the grand jury, but it wasn't something that was critical, that was that serious where we really needed his testimony in order for us to make our case. And they like, so we had told him that it wasn't nothing that serious or whatever have you, and they said, do you think he would do something like that? And one of the cops say, yeah, if you a cop, then you probably would, right? And so as we get to the end, and they say that, of course, Sean's independent review showed that he took his own life, intentionally staging the event to look like it was in the line of duty. Of course, a lot of others feel that is unconvinced and feel that is a homicide, and remains the unofficial cause of death, that the whole thing they're saying, somebody, killed him basically, right? And so I don't know if we'll ever know the truth on that one, but it's just sad either way you look at it. We have Wayne getting,
'Cause I don't know if we'll ever know the truth on that one, but it's just sad either way you look at it. We have Wayne getting, 'cause I don't know if we'll ever know the truth on that one, but it's just sad either way you look at it. We have Wayne getting, 'cause I don't know if we'll ever know the truth on that one, but it's just sad either way you look at it. We have Wayne getting
20 years and him giving this fake behind apology. You know, they say, why did he all of a sudden take a plea deal now, you know, when he was supposed to be Mr. Want to get up on stand and say everything. And they say, well, once the bail bondsman came into play, you know, he didn't want all of that to come out with everything that he was doing, and he wants to still at least look like he's this family man. You know, of course, the bail bondsman would have been able to talk about him with the prostitutes and with strippers and everything else. And so at this point, he's just trying to so-called bow out gracefully and say that every time he's wrong, he admits that he's wrong. Okay, and we like, whatever, Wayne, we know that you are so full of crap. All right, and so at this point, he did take the plea, and so I think Wayne got the most out of all of them, which was 20 years, like I said. And so, you know, he talking about I own my mistakes. I'm like, yeah, right, Wayne. They literally had to, you know, bow you down. No matter of fact, it was 25 years, right? And so he got the most out of all of the officers from what I remember. You know, we had, who was the next one? We had the chief giving, you know, this statement, right? And he's basically putting most of the blame on the people that came before him. And in the process of him giving the statement, we're seeing the different, you know, times that different people got. So Ram got 12 years, right? Jamal. And he basically, you know, said what he had to say to try to get his time down. I think he got 12 for the simple fact of the shooting. Gondo did cooperate, and so he got 10. You had, who else was it? I'm sorry, y'all. Let me give y'all the exact names. Jamal was 12. Dahmer was 10. Ward was 7. Hendricks was 7. Okay, they both got 7. And they did cooperate. I think theirs were the lowest ones of all. And so in the meantime, the commissioner, like I said, is giving this speech. And they're like, well, you keep saying they and trying to put it on, you know, the people before you. And you trying to say that y'all wouldn't have seen that this was going on. And he says, yes, we all should have seen it. You know, I mean, he tried to clean it up at the end or whatever have you. Ellis got 15 years. He basically did not want to cooperate at all. He was just, you know, he refused to cooperate. He was just basically found guilty altogether, you know, and they was like, you know, you going down and that's it for you. We also had Herschel and Taylor. I think they got 18 years, if I'm not mistaken. And we also see that after, you know, the commissioner gave this speech, not even 4 months later, they fired the commissioner. Okay, I guess they was mad because he told on they daggone behinds. The mayor fired him. Palomar resigned, on which I felt like he shouldn't have been able to resign. They should have freaking made sure his behind went down too. You know, they tried to accuse him of coaching an officer in the shooting, and he denied it and he resigned. You know, we see the mayor bringing in this new commissioner, and it says 4 months after she brung him in, he ended up going down for daggone tax evasion. Y'all, I said, yo, these people really are literally just one corrupt person to the next corrupt person. You know, taking apart this little drug task force unit wasn't nothing, because the whole government from top to bottom was literally trash. Okay, and so you had him resign 4 months later because of getting convicted of federal tax evasion. And then the same daggone mayor that was sitting here talking about my babies, you can't take money from my babies, she pled guilty a year later of conspiracy of tax evasion and fraud and was sentenced to 3 years, y'all. I said, you know what? Throw the whole damn place away. And so, like I said, what it's not funny, it's sad as hell, but it's just unbelievable how comfortable all these people was. You calling out other people for doing crimes, and you right here doing the damn crimes along with them. So you all trash. But like I said, Herschel and Taylor both got 17 to 18 years each, sentenced to 18 years each, I should say. And we just seen that, crime was continuing to go up, and that, there was unsuccessful prosecution of officers involved, of course, in the Freddie Gray case, and the police work slowed down. And, we know the rest of the story, right? And we also see that Jenkins behind was in jail in a little cell getting 30 minutes, a day out on the daggone yard. I don't think it made much of a difference. We went back to that first opening scene and got to see what we all thought that it was basically money. I guess this was one of the first times that his behind ever took money. We see that there was money in the closet, and he like, shit, we paid, okay? We about to get that money. We about to eat, close that door, make sure your foot is on it. He took all the money, was too happy to take it. That was the start of it. And we see his chief telling him, I'm so glad you decided to stay. And when she first sent him in to give the speech that we saw him giving in the beginning, and we see that some of the people that was in his class was Herschel, Sean, Gondel, Jamal, they all was sitting there in the class listening to him give this speech, and it meant nothing to him and it meant nothing to them either, okay? Maybe some of them it did, but the majority of them it didn't. They was actually laughing as he was giving the speech, and that is how the episode ended, you guys. So I don't know what y'all thought about it. Put it in the comments. Let me know. Let's discuss. You liked it, you didn't like it. Are you going to check out the documentary? Have you read the book? Are you going to, read the book? Put it all in the comments. Y'all want to hear from y'all, okay? This was definitely very interesting, very insightful, and very sad, but not surprising, unfortunately. And so that's all I got, you guys. Till next time, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe if you are so inclined, okay? Put those fire emojis. Let me know you came by. Talk to y'all later. Toodaloo.